Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another true crime video. Today we're going to be talking about the case of Jodi Arias and Travis Alexander. A couple of my subscribers suggested this case, and when I went to look into it, I realized that I had heard about it before, and not only that, but I'd seen this really cheesy Lifetime movie about it before, so I was kind of interested to get back into it and get the really fine and nitty-gritty details, because obviously the Lifetime movie was very biased towards Travis, which of course he's the victim, so I understand why, but I didn't feel like it completely described both Travis's and Jodi's personalities and their contributions to what ended up happening. So let's get right in. On June 9th, 2008, Travis Alexander's roommates found him dead on the floor of his bathroom shower, riddled with stab wounds.
A friend of ours is dead in his bedroom. We hadn't heard from him for a while. We think he's dead. His roommate just went in there and said there's lots of blood. I didn't go in, but I can give you the phone to someone who went in there.
Yes, please, can you?
Hello.
Hi, so what's going on?
He's dead. He's in his bedroom.
Okay.
In the shower.
Okay. How did this happen? Do you have any idea?
No, we have no idea. Everyone's been wondering about him for a few days.
She said that there was blood. So is it coming from his head? Did he cut his wrist?
It's all over the place.
A camera and an SD card were found in his washing machine, and the pictures that were retrieved off of it gave some clues to who might have been responsible. An ex-girlfriend of his, Jodi Arias. Jodi Arias was born on July 9th, 1980 in Salinas, California. At age 10, Jodi became interested in photography, and that interest and passion always stuck with her. Even though she would drop out of high school in grade 11, she really wanted to take photography and make it her career. So she would take many part-time photography jobs throughout her life. To supplement her income, though, she worked as a waitress, and it was through this serving job in 2001 that she met Daryl Brewer, the food and beverage manager at her job. They began dating in 2003, and they purchased a home together in Palm Desert. At this time, Daryl was 40 years old and Jodi was 21, so he was twice her age. In 2006, Jodi began to work for prepaid legal services, and they sent her to Las Vegas for a conference, and it was here that she met Travis Alexander, who was a motivational speaker. They met in September of 2006, and it was right about this time that Daryl Brewer and Jodi Arias' relationship started to deteriorate. Jodi told Daryl that she no longer wanted to maintain a physical relationship with him because she was interested in the religion of Mormonism, and she wanted to save her body for her husband, or her future husband. Does it surprise anybody that Travis Alexander was a Mormon, and Jodi probably jumped on this Mormon bandwagon in order to either impress him or just kind of be like him? At the same time, while she was saving her body for her future husband, she was also modifying her body by getting breast implants because she really wanted to make sure it was perfect for her future husband. It did appear, though, that Jodi wasn't really interested in abstaining from sex until marriage, because just a week after meeting Travis in Las Vegas, they began a sexual relationship. Now, Travis was a devout Mormon, so he didn't drink coffee, he didn't drink alcohol, he didn't have sex before marriage, but there was something about Jodi that, I guess got him. They had an intense physical and sexual attraction right from the get-go. And as these kinds of relationships go, it was a little bit of a roller coaster. And I don't know if anybody has been involved in a relationship like this before, but it's addictive and it's obsessive, and it's not really good for you, but the other person has such a magnetic attraction to you and vice versa that every time you guys see each other and every time you're together, you completely kind of forget all the other stuff. This isn't going to work, or we don't really have anything in common, or I don't really like this person. It's just that animal magnetism, and it brings you guys together. And I do think that this was what Jodi and Travis kind of had initially. So with Daryl Brewer, I guess he decided there was no real reason to live with Jodi any longer if they weren't going to be having sex. So he moved to be closer to his son, and they agreed that she could stay in the home until it was sold, but it ended up being foreclosed a year later. So Jodi and Travis kept their relationship going. Even though Jodi lived in California, Travis lived in Arizona, they kept in contact. They called each other multiple times a day, and they exchanged many emails, over 82,000 emails. In November of 2006, Jodi was baptized into the Mormon church. Travis helped her get ready for it. He was there with her when it happened, and she then moved to Mesa, Arizona. I suspect both of these things were to get closer to Travis because he lived in Mesa and he was a Mormon. So I think she did both of these things as a manipulation tactic to make him feel like she was the girl he wanted to be with. She was close, proximity, location, 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 and she was a Mormon, which is what he wanted in a wife. So I think she did both of those things to kind of manipulate him into thinking that she was the girl for him. Their relationship only lasted 4 months. Jodi got really jealous and possessive. She really didn't want him to be with anybody else or be talking to anybody else. And Travis felt like they had never said they were dating exclusively, and she was kind of his dirty little secret. He didn't tell his friends he was having sex. He didn't tell his family or his community or his church that he was having sex. This wasn't something he was proud of. So he kind of wanted to keep her like on the down low and away from his real life, so people wouldn't know that the image he projected to the world, which was this devout Mormon, virgin, was not true at all. One day she went through his cell phone and she found like 40 messages to other women, so she ended it and he didn't fight it. According to his friends, Travis was kind of already going down that path of wanting to end it and just kind of wanting to move on to the next part of his life. They continued to talk and communicate. They were friends, and they continued their sexual relationship. At this time, Travis began to see other women, and he also was still having sex with Jodi. So understandably, she was jealous, even though she was kind of like that girl who was just like, oh yeah, it's no big deal, like we can just have fun. She most likely secretly hoped that if she just kept herself under Travis's nose, if she kept herself in his line of vision, if she continued to have a physical relationship with him, he would just wake up one day and say, oh, I'm in love with you. This is what I've always wanted. Why was I ever looking for anything else? That didn't happen though. He began to see other people. And according to Travis, Jodi slashed his tires twice, broke into his house through the dog door, and stole his diary and read it. She would hide in bushes and take pictures of him to see who he was with. She sent him threatening emails. It sent the women he was seeing threatening emails from an anonymous email account. She hacked into his Facebook page and sent people messages through that. So she was, to say the least, insanely jealous. Insanely. Even though Travis was being stalked and threatened by this woman, he continued to feel safe enough to keep having sex with her. And they did a lot of traveling too. Jodi and Travis did a lot of traveling. And if you look at her MySpace page, there's pictures of them from all over the country, traveling all over the place. And it's so crazy because the pictures are still up, but he was traveling with her even after she was allegedly threatening and stalking him. So I don't know how unsafe he felt, but according to Jodi, one day he had sent her this book he was reading, all the places you want to go before you die. And he was like, let's just go and do this, which is super cool. I don't know if you guys realize, but the more experiences you have with somebody, the closer you feel to them. And people and couples who travel a lot and see and experience new things together often feel like they have this extra deep, extra special bond because of all the things they've experienced together. So this could be another reason why Jodi felt so strongly connected to Travis. Eventually, Jodi got tired of being Travis's side piece, being kept secret from everybody in his life, and she moved back to California to live with her grandparents. Even though she no longer lived in Arizona, she and Travis continued to exchange sexually explicit emails and pictures and talk on the phone. In June 2008, though, when she hacked his Facebook page, Travis was like, okay, I'm done. This is crazy. I've had enough. He told her to just leave him alone. He said, we don't need to be continuing to have a relationship. you're in California, I'm in Arizona, we've got our own lives. Like, I just don't want to be a part of yours anymore, and I don't want you to be a part of mine. I'm sure that Jodi was heated. On June 2nd, 2008, Jodi Arias rented a car from the Budget Rent-A-Car in Redding, California, and she took this car and she drove 5 hours to Arizona to Travis's home. She didn't get there until very early in the morning the next day, so she got there like in the early morning hours of June 3rd. Apparently, her and Travis just spent that entire day having sex and hanging out and taking pictures of it. 2 days later, on June 4th, Jodi drove the rental car back to California and back to the rental car place and dropped it off. Travis's friends hadn't heard from him in days, and he'd missed a couple important things. He'd missed an important business meeting, and he hadn't made it to a trip to Cancun that they had all planned on going on together. So they understandably were worried, and they showed up at his house to figure out where he was and what was going on. And I guess his roommate was there, and his roommate was like, no, Travis is out of town. He hasn't been here in days. And they were like, no, nobody can get a hold of him. Like, he's not answering his phone. Nobody can find him. So Travis's roommate took the key and unlocked Travis's door because it was locked from the inside, and he went into the room and found Travis dead, stabbed to death on the floor of his shower. Forensic evidence collected at the scene, including the camera and memory card from the washer, they were looked into, and that's when they found the pictures on the SD card. Apparently they'd been erased, but the forensic team was able to recover them, and they were all time-stamped. And they showed Jodi and Travis in sexual positions and in the nude. Basically, they had been taking pictures of each other that whole day. The most disturbing pictures on the memory card were those of taken in Travis's last moments of life. There's pictures of him just showering, taking a shower, so clearly Jodi was taking pictures of him while he was in the shower. But the last picture of him taken alive literally shows his face, and his face looks like stunned. And there's fear in his eyes. So he must have known what was about to happen to him. There are other pictures on the memory card that look like they were taken accidentally, and it's apparently of him laying lifeless on the ground. Travis's autopsy shows that he was first stabbed with a knife through his chest into his heart. This was a wound that would have proved fatal anyways if it had been given time. He was then shot in the face, and he was then stabbed all over his body between 27 and 29 times. He had defensive wounds and cuts on his hands as well. In the original 911 call, when Travis's friends found him, Jodi Arias' name was brought up. And during interviews with family and friends after Travis had been found dead, Jodi's name was brought up many more times. At first, Jodi claimed she hadn't been anywhere near Mesa at that time or during that day, and she stuck to this story for quite a while, insisting she was not with him that day. She had not seen him that day. She said she hadn't seen him in months. Once the police came at her with the photographic evidence, she changed her story and claimed that there had been a home invasion, that she had been in the house with Travis. He was in the bathroom, and two people came into the house, one man and one woman, dressed all in black. They started stabbing him, and he yelled to her to go get some help and get out of the house. And she claims that one of the two black-clothed figures raised the gun to shoot her and pulled the trigger, and nothing happened. So she was miraculously spared, and she ran out of the house, never looked back. And when she was asked why she didn't call the police, she said it was because she was afraid, because she was a witness, that they were going to come after her. While all this was happening, Jodi was playing, the good role of the morning girlfriend or ex-girlfriend or friend or whatever she was to Travis. She sent a lengthy letter to his grandmother just voicing her regrets, and Travis's grandmother had basically raised him and his siblings because both Travis's parents were drug addicts, and Travis had had a really hard upbringing. So his grandmother was basically the one that introduced him and his siblings to the Mormon faith and saved them. Jodi had flowers delivered to his family. She posted a whole, in memory of Travis Alexander on her MySpace page, which you can still see if you go to her MySpace page. There's all the pictures of her and Travis, and they say in memory of Travis Alexander. She was posting really sad messages on MySpace about their time together. She even went to a memorial service for him, which I'm sure his family and friends were thrilled about. If you look at her MySpace page, there's still pictures of Travis all over it. It's so creepy and weird. It's like these two people were frozen in time. She is in Travis's top 8 and he is in her top 8. And if you're too young to know what a MySpace top 8 is, it's basically the people who visited your profile the most, the people who you interacted with the most, they would be in your top 8. On July 9th, 2008, Jodi's birthday, she was indicted for first-degree murder, and 6 days later, she was arrested. In September, she was extradited to Arizona to stand trial for the murder of Travis Alexander. Jodi Arias at this point underwent a physical transformation. She had already dyed her hair from blonde to brown, and that was so she wouldn't be spotted while she was going into or leaving Travis's apartment the day she killed him. But she took it to a whole new level. So she used to be this like blonde bombshell, had a ton of makeup on, tight-fitting clothes, really sexy, really beautiful. When she went to court, she, like I said, had her hair brown. She cut it into bangs. She started wearing glasses. Her clothes were more conservative. She wouldn't have any makeup on, so she wanted people to think she was this innocent victim. She wanted people to perceive her as just younger, pretty much. The way she was doing her hair, the way she was wearing the glasses, just having no makeup on, she wanted to be perceived as younger and innocent and a victim. She didn't want to be seen as the attacker. She wanted to be seen as the attacked. Before the trial started, Jodi told the judge she wanted to represent herself, and he said, whatever, I don't have a problem with that. I think Jodi thought she was so charismatic, so magnetic, so appealing to other people that all she had to do was get up in front of the judge and jury and defend herself, and they would all say, why is this girl here? Why is she on trial? She is so sweet and innocent and intelligent and well-spoken. We need to get her out of this courtroom right now. Case closed. But that's not what ended up happening. She provided letters that she claimed were written by Travis, and in these letters, he was admitting to her that he was a pedophile. The letters were obviously looked into and investigated, and they were found to be frauds. And shortly after this, Jodi went to the judge and did say, okay, I'm in over my head legally, so I need a public defender. At this point, her court-provided attorneys entered a plea of not guilty, claiming that Jodi killed Travis out of self-defense. So here's the evolution of Jodi's lies. Initially, she says, I wasn't there at all. Haven't seen him in months. Have no idea what you're talking about. Then when they bring proof to her that she was there, the time-stamped photographs, she says, oh, yes. I was there, but there was a home invasion. The ninjas came in and they killed Travis, and thank God they didn't kill me, and I just never said anything about it because I was scared. Then, when that doesn't look like it's going to be believed, she goes into the, I was there was no home invasion, I did kill him, but I did so because he was physically abusive and I thought he was going to kill me. What? Just the fact that this girl has changed her story so much and she doesn't think that anybody's going to bat an eye at that shows you how much she's been manipulating people and getting her way for her entire life. Jodi alleged that Travis was physically and emotionally and verbally abusive to her. He would call her names, he would call her his whore or a bitch or things like that and just make her feel bad about herself. He would hit her, he would kick her, and he would make her do sexually depraved things that she didn't want to do, but she did anyways because he made her. The trial lasted 18 days. In these 18 days, Jodi claimed that not only was Travis abusive and she feared for her life, but since the age of 7, her own parents were abusive and they beat her with belts and wooden spoons. That her dad had a belt he would hit her with, and her mom carried a wooden spoon around with her and would hit the kids with it whenever they were bad. I mean, I don't know about you, but my mom hit me with a wooden spoon a couple of times when I was young, and I never killed my boyfriend. She says the day that Travis died, she had accidentally dropped his new camera, and he yelled at her saying, even a 5-year-old can hold a camera better than you can. And then he flew into a rage, and he went to tackle her, got real low to tackle her, and she was like, oh, he's gonna kill me. And she grabbed his gun, she said, and then shot him. Even though forensic evidence showed he was stabbed first, then shot, then stabbed again multiple times. But then all this really incriminating stuff started coming out in court. The lengths that Jodi went to not only to plan the murder of Travis, but to cover it up. So she had staged a robbery at her grandparents' house weeks before in which a gun was stolen from her grandparents' house. and the gun matched the bullet that was found at the scene. Additionally, she rented a car so she wouldn't be seen in her own car, and she got tanks of gas, or like cans of gas, and put them in the car so she wouldn't have to stop between California and Arizona to get gas and have kind of a paper trail of credit card receipts showing where she was when she got gas.
Listen, if I'm found guilty, I don't have a life. I'm not guilty. I didn't hurt Travis. If I hurt Travis, if I killed Travis, I would beg for the death penalty.
She also dyed her hair so she would be harder to recognize. She took the front license plate off the rental car and she turned the back license plate upside down so it would be harder to identify. Then after she kills Travis, she actually called him a couple hours after she left his house and left a voicemail talking to him about, normal things, basically to make it seem like she thought he was still alive.
And so you called Mr. Alexander and you left him a message, right?
Yes.
Just play it and hear what you said.
Hey, what's going on? It's Friday night. Anyway, right around the time you're starting to gear up. I know Leslie called you, so I already talked to her, so you can call her back if you want, but it's not necessary. My phone died, so I wasn't getting back to anybody. And what else? Oh, and I drove 100 miles in the wrong direction. Over 100 miles, thank you very much. So yeah, remember New Mexico? It was a lot like that, only you weren't here to prevent me from going into the 3 digits, so fun. Tell you all about that later. Also, we were talking about, when we were talking about your upcoming travels my way, I was looking at the May calendar, so I'm all confused. But Heather and I are going to see Othello on July 1st, and we would love for you to accompany us. I don't know when Team Freedom's event is, though, but, it's on the list, so we could do Shakespeare, Crater Lake, and the coast. So if you can make it. If not, we'll just do the coast in Crater Lake. But let me know, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.
End of message. To delete this message, press 7. To save it in the archives, press 9.
That's you, correct?
Correct.
And that's you lying on the message, right?
Yes.
You're telling or leaving the message for Mr. Alexander indicating that you got lost, fun, right?
Yes.
That's not true, right?
That's not true.
And all of these lies, man, are meant for your benefit so that you can escape responsibility.
I don't see how that's to my benefit, but I don't know what you mean by benefit, but yeah, so I could escape whatever for the time being.
Well, now that you keep saying for the time being, you would have been happy to avoid the consequences for a lifetime, wouldn't have you?
I can't say I would be happy, but I don't know.
You would have preferred that, though, right?
I don't know how to answer that.
Well, you didn't go to the police with any of your information ever until they contacted you, right?
I think I initiated the contact.
She also drove right from Travis's house to another man's house in Utah that she had been talking to and having a relationship with, and she ended up kind of making out with him that day. His name was Ryan Burns, and they had also met at a convention in Las Vegas. Ryan says when he met Jodi, she had blonde hair, but when she showed up at his house that day, her hair was brown, which we already know she had dyed it. He also said she had cuts and bandages on her hands, and she told him it was from breaking a glass at her job as a server and cutting her hand. The kind of attack that happened to Travis, the multiple stabbing wounds, this is not an attack or a murder of self-defense. This is a murder of intense anger. Jodi was so angry, and you can tell she didn't just want him dead. She wanted to kill him. She didn't want him to just die. She wanted him to suffer. She wanted to take everything out on him, and that is why she stabbed him so much. Not only that, but his throat was slit from ear to ear. So what kind of self-defense murder is this? You don't need any other proof in this case besides the way Travis was killed, stabbed in the heart, shot in the face, stabbed 27 to 29 times, and his throat slit almost to the point of him being decapitated. Basically, Jodi in her defense tried to show the world that the chaste, good Mormon boy that Travis had shown the world wasn't actually him. He was a sexual deviant. He was a pedophile. He asked her to do disgusting things, and he hid that from everybody. Jodi said Travis wanted her as his own personal sex slave and brought forth like text messages and conversations, which did support that. That is kind of what Travis wanted from her. They brought out underwear that had Travis's name on them that he had made for her, and she showed a picture of her in a t-shirt with blonde hair, and it said Travis Alexander's on the t-shirt, and she claims that he had that made for her as well. I don't know if I believe that, because he really didn't want to have any ownership over her. He didn't want people to even know they were together. So why did he make a t-shirt that said Travis Alexander's on it? I guarantee you she made that t-shirt herself. That seems like the crazy kind of thing that she would do. It reminds me of that movie, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, where Kate Hudson makes like a photo booth of her and Matthew McConaughey's kids and their life together, cuts out pictures of them and puts it in the photo book like they had a whole life together, and she makes this album. That is Jodi Arias, like, to a T. The prosecution countered with recorded phone conversations showing that Jodi was just as into all of this stuff as Travis was. It was super awkward in the courtroom because Travis's family was there, Jodi's family was there, everybody was there, the jury, the judge, everybody, and they were playing these recorded phone conversations out loud, and they were like really dirty and really like, they were dirty. So I can only imagine it was super uncomfortable for everybody, and Jodi kind of like sat there on the stand and she, did one of these like hiding her face with her hair as if she was just so ashamed she couldn't even make eye contact with anybody. Something that kind of confused people was Jodi had no character witnesses come forward for her. So typically you would have someone come forward for you and say you're a good person or talk about you and the good things you had done. But Jodi didn't have anybody come forward for her. Jodi Arias was found guilty and convicted of first-degree murder. When the verdict was read, crowds that were waiting outside of the courtroom cheered.
In the above entitled action, upon our oaths, do find the defendant as to count 1, first-degree murder, guilty. 5 jurors find premeditated. 0 find felony murder. 7 find both premeditated and felony. Signed, 4-person.
Death penalty was obviously on the table at this point, and it was up to the jury to decide whether or not Jodi Arias was going to live or die. And they actually were hung at first. They were a hung jury. They couldn't decide. There wasn't, a unanimous decision on whether or not she should face the death penalty, which I understand that this is a difficult decision. I don't know if I could ever be in the position where I'd have to be a part of deciding whether someone lives or dies. That has to be incredibly tough. At first, Jodi said if she was convicted of this crime, she would want the death penalty because death would be freedom for her and she couldn't get it soon enough. Once it became clear that the death penalty was definitely probably an option, she changed her tune. There's this interview, and I'll play you a couple clips from it, but the interviewer just goes so hard at her. I loved it. Like, he literally says what everybody's thinking, and typically in interviews you'll see that the anchor or the reporter is kind of more like softballing the person, and he did not at all. Like, he came at her so hard, and I love him for that.
You said today you want to give Travis's family closure. You know they want you dead, so why don't you give them that closure?
What do you mean by that? Why don't I kill myself? Is that what you're asking?
No, why don't you accept the fate of the death penalty if you know that's what they want? If you truly care about their closure. Why didn't you apologize to them?
I did apologize to them.
You never said, I'm sorry.
I said that I'm sorry, that I'll never be able to make up for what I did, and that I can never replace their loss.
But you didn't use the word, I'm sorry.
Well, then I'm sorry I didn't say that, because certainly I am sorry, especially since nobody believes what I'm saying anyway.
You said it right there, no one believes a word out of your mouth. Why do you keep talking? You've said that sort of thing a lot before, including right after you were arrested. You said, my goodness, if I did something this horrible to Travis, I would beg for the death penalty.
Right.
You did it, so what changed?
My family. changed my mind.
If you were on that jury and you had heard what they have heard, would you kill you?
I don't believe in capital punishment.
One thing that surprised a lot of people is that no one from your family got up to say anything nice about you when you were facing the possibility of the death penalty.
Well, that was a defense decision.
But the impact of that is that you've lived on this planet for 32 years and you have no one other than yourself to come up and vouch for your character as a person when you're facing death.
Well, I did have people, and they were not called.
And to people who say, you shot him, you stabbed him, you slit his throat, and then you killed him a fourth time when he was already dead by making up things about him to ruin his reputation, you say what?
Nothing was made up. Nothing was made up at all. I mean, it was a defense strategy for me to take the stand, and once I was on the stand, I was obligated to answer the questions that were posed to me.
But you know no one believes you, right?
That's not true.
So you think people should feel safe if Jodi Arias is out of these four walls at some point?
I think so, yes. If you're not abusing me and attacking me and threatening to kill my life, there's no reason to fear. I didn't know that you were a hater when you came to interview me.
So Jodi got up in front of the jury and the courtroom and said, no, I know that I asked for the death penalty before, but I only realized now that this would do less good for me and more harm for my family. And she points at them in the courtroom. So she says she doesn't want to face the death penalty because she doesn't want to hurt her family anymore. And not only that, but she can do so much good for the world. Still, even from a jail cell, she can do so much good for the world. She just goes and launches into this whole diatribe about all the good she can do. She can grow her hair out and donate it to Locks for Love. She can start a recycling program in prison. She can start a book club in prison. She can give Spanish lessons in prison. And then she brings out this shirt that she designed and it says Survivor on it. And she's like, I can sell these shirts and 100% of the proceeds will go to victims of domestic violence. And it says Survivor on it. What?
I didn't know that if I got life, there are many things I can do to affect positive change and contribute in a meaningful way. In prison, there are programs I can start and people I can help and programs that I can continue to participate in. A few months before trial, and by that I mean jury selection, my hair was past my waist and I donated it to Locks of Love, the nonprofit which creates wigs for cancer patients who've lost their hair. In fact, that was my third donation to that organization since I was arrested. Over the years I've spent in incarceration, I've received many requests from women to teach them Spanish or American Sign Language. If I get permission, I'd like to implement a recycling program. The women's prison in Goodyear houses thousands of women, and each week, huge loads of waste are hauled off to a landfill. This is one small thing that could have a far-reaching and positive impact on the community and on the planet. There's a higher rate of illiteracy in prison than in everyday society. I know that reading has enriched my life by expanding my knowledge base and opening my eyes to new worlds and different cultures. I can help other women become literate so that they too can add that dimension to their lives. Along the lines of literacy, I'd like to start a book club or a reading group, something that brings people together in a positive and constructive way so that we can share and recommend other good books and stimulate discussions of a higher nature. Additionally, I've designed a t-shirt. This is the t-shirt, of which 100% of the proceeds go to support nonprofit organizations which also assist other victims of domestic violence.
I'm sorry, I know it's not funny, but it made me laugh because she killed somebody, she murdered somebody, admitted to murdering somebody, and then she's pulling out a shirt that says Survivor that's gonna help the victims of domestic violence. Literally, this entire monologue was reminiscent of a high school student running for student council. I'm gonna put vending machines in the cafeteria and we're gonna get 20 extra free minutes a day during our flex period. No more teachers in the lunchroom. I don't know what she was thinking. But, it must have worked in some way or the other because finally, 5 years after killing Travis, Jodi was sent to prison for life without the chance of parole. So Jodi Arias is a textbook narcissist sociopath. She is somebody who was used to getting her way. She's somebody who could talk herself out of anything. So she's the girl who would get pulled over by a cop and cry to get out of the ticket. She's the girl who literally was so manipulative, so controlling, so charming that she could get anything she wanted.
I didn't hear you breathe. I wonder how am I still here? And I don't wanna lose a thing. It might change my memory, and I won't go, and I can't breathe until you're resting here with me. Holy night. The stars are brightly shining. This is the day of our dear Savior's birth. Oh, night divine. Oh, night when Christ was born.
Every new account that came out painted a clearer picture of her as this manipulative, narcissistic, self-centered person. When she was 14, she was growing pot on their roof and she got caught. So her parents searched her room because, you know, your daughter just got caught growing pot. What else is she doing? So they searched her room, and he says that from that point on, things changed in their relationship. She never trusted them again. She turned away from them, and he blames himself for this. She has this man manipulated to the point where he blames himself for ruining the relationship with his 14-year-old daughter when he was only being a parent. That's normal parent stuff to do. Your kid gets in trouble for drugs, you search their room. That's what parents do. She literally made them feel like it was their fault that their relationship changed. Not her fault because she did something wrong and they reacted to it. It was their fault. And they still to this day believe that. A coworker described her as controlling and crazy when it came to her relationship with Travis. The coworker said she would call him all the time and she could not come into her shift until she spoke with him on the phone. And if she didn't get Travis on the phone, she was not coming into her shift. And she would leave after working all day at 11 o'clock from her job and drive all the way to Arizona. It's a 5-hour drive. Drove all the way to Arizona after work just to see him and make sure that he wasn't like with anybody else. Her coworker said that the trip that Travis was planning to Mexico with his friends, that was what really set Jodi off. Like, she was pissed. He was bringing another girl. He hadn't asked her to come. She did not want him going to Mexico with his friends and another girl. I guess that maybe she thought the traveling was kind of like their thing together, and she felt betrayed that he was taking another girl traveling. Jodi's ex-cellmate said that this new girlfriend, Lisa Daydone, was actually the intended victim of Jodi's wrath that day. That Jodi had confessed to her one day when they were in their jail cell together that she hadn't gone to Travis's house hoping to kill him. She'd gone hoping to find this girl, Lisa, and kill her. As if that makes it better. I do understand that she felt used by Travis. I completely get this. We've all been in relationships with people who we have felt are using us or aren't giving us as much as we're giving them, or kind of aren't interested in taking it to the next level like we are. We've all been there, so I completely understand. And I do think he was using her for sex. Do I think he was this amazing guy? No. Do I think he had only good intentions? No. Do I think he probably had some like sexual depravities? Clearly, if you listen to the videotapes, if you like read the things he wrote to her, yeah, he was kind of a freak. But so was she, and she was into it. You know, I think she saw Travis as somebody who was going to save her from her life, that he was the next step for her. She envisioned this whole life with her, said she wanted to marry him, told everybody he was going to be her husband, and then he just kind of like threw her away. And she says she felt like used toilet paper. I get that feeling. She was thrown away. When he was done with her, when he'd gotten bored, when he'd exhausted her use, he tossed her aside. And he moved on to a girl that I think he felt was more appropriate for his Mormon upbringing. He never intended on marrying Jodi. He never intended on being with her. She was the girl you have fun with. She was the girl that you have sex with. She was the girl that you sexually explore with. She wasn't the girl you bring home to your parents and marry. He was getting it out of his system. Was that okay? Was that right? No, to be honest, Travis was kind of a scumbag, but he didn't deserve to die for it. He didn't deserve to be brutally stabbed and shot and die for it. It's really a shame because Jodi, to me, seemed like a really intelligent, well-spoken person. She was a really good writer. I read a letter she wrote to that Ryan Burns guy and the letter she wrote to Travis's grandmother. She was a good writer. She has this amazing way of expressing herself with words. She was really good with words. She could elicit emotional reaction from you. She could make herself seem genuine. She could make you feel like she really cared about what you were saying, that she really cared about you. But everything she did was in order to attain something for herself. She was not selfless. She didn't care about people for what she could do for them. She cared about people for what they could do for her. But she had a lot going for her. She was a good singer. She was artistic. She was great behind the camera. You know, she could have been a good photographer. She could have done anything. I think she was kind of in trouble from the beginning. She was a psychopath. She was a narcissist. And I don't think that anybody did this to her. I think she was born this way. This case was crazy. I remember seeing the Lifetime movie, and then I remember reading about the case, and I was like, they made Travis seem like this innocent little boy, and she just corrupted him. And that is not what happened. But at the same time, Travis did not deserve to die at all. End of story. She got what she deserved. Alright guys, I hope you liked this video. Please give it a big thumbs up if you did. Like and subscribe if you want to see more. Let me know in the comments what you think about this case. Are you like Team Jodi or Team Travis? What's going on? Have a great day, everybody. It's about that time. I've got to get ready and go to work. What is this? What is this? It's about that time now. I've got to get ready and go to work. But I will see you guys soon on Mystery Monday. Stay kind and stay beautiful. Have a great day.
Today was gonna be the day that they're gonna throw it back to you. But now you should have somehow realized what you gotta do. I don't believe that anybody feels the way I do about you now. Backbeat, the word is on